Well, I'm not in my garage. My priority this morning is securing a roomy, dispersed campsite. I'll explain why in a moment. I thought I'd get a jump on the weekend warriors by taking Friday off and hitting the trail early in the day. But wow, I've been scouring some areas where there are lots of sites, and they're all occupied. Finally, I found a spot no one is camping in. Well, perhaps it was a little naive of me to think by getting an early start Friday morning I'd be able to find a campsite. Man, this area is packed. I drove past site after site after site that I had in mind, and there's people in all of them. Finally, I came across this one. It's a little bit visible from the road, but it's a nice big site. Creek is down there, can't quite see it, but we can hear it at least. This won't be any big, super huge adventure, more of a mellow camping trip. The purpose of this trip is to meet up with a number of different guys who use pickup trucks and have different camping setups. And I'll be putting together a video about all the many different ways you can camp with a pickup truck. I'll have that coming out soon. So I don't think there'll be any major off-roady, getting on trails, exploring the backcountry. I've sort of explored almost all of this area already. Bits and pieces of it show up in a number of my videos. I think this is going to be more of a mellow campsite video. I've got some meals planned. I'll do some cooking and hang out with the guys and just enjoy being out in nature. This weekend, I'm meeting up with 3 of the truck camping builds I'll be looking at in the upcoming truck camping video. So this is Dan, so this is Jaren, this is Eric. The truck camping video I'll have out on the channel, hopefully in the next few weeks. We'll take a look at 6 different approaches to camping with a pickup truck. We'll look at each approach and talk about advantages and disadvantages of each.
Looking for a friend of mine, his name's Donald, softroadingthewest.
No.
He drives a Subaru, you might have heard of him.
No, wrong campsite.
Jason, who you may know as Primal Outdoors, is out exploring this weekend with his friend Gary, who will camp with us as well. Gary runs a Wrangler and a Gazelle T4. It's only April and there are no campfire restrictions in place, but it has been unusually dry this spring, so for tonight we're going to use a propane fire pit. The forecast calls for some much needed precipitation in this area this weekend, but I have to admit, I hope it will hold off until we head home on Sunday. Tonight, I'm improvising with some stuff I picked up at Trader Joe's on my way out of town. I've got some mushrooms, some ground turkey, and my usual orange bell pepper and yellow onion.
So to start with, I'm just going to go ahead and get this meat browned up. While that meat's browning, I'm going to get my vegetables chopped up here. I'm basically just going to combine everything here and throw in some of this sauce.
Are you about done over there, Pepe Le Pew?
Hey, you can't rush fine art.
I know.
If you want to cut corners with your cooking, that's fine.
I will give you this, Soft-Roading the West. You are quite the cook. Soft-Roading the Frontier, sorry.
So in Eugene, there's a restaurant called the Glenwood, and it was one of my favorite breakfast spots before the COVID hit. And my favorite breakfast to get there is something, I think they call it their Durango Scramble. And it's basically just some eggs scrambled with some mushrooms, some bacon, and cream cheese, and served with some potatoes on the side. And it's just my go-to breakfast when I go to the Glenwood. Since I haven't been able to have it for over a year now, I decided to try and recreate it myself out here. So I'm using the rest of the mushrooms from last night, and I pre-cooked some bacon at home so I wouldn't have to make a big mess out here. And I fried up some of these hash browns from Trader Joe's, which I'm just keeping warm in another pan over here. Jason and Gary have taken off for the day to do some exploring, and I'm working on filming Dan's canopy-based build in progress. Dan uses a Jackery 300 to power his fridge, as well as keeping his phone charged up. My Jackery 500 is running my fridge and recharging the iPad I use for both navigating and flying my drone. As the other truck campers won't be arriving until later this afternoon, Dan and I have set off in the Frontier to explore the few remaining roads I've never checked out in this little corner of National Forest. It's all pretty easy driving out here. I won't even shift into four-wheel drive at any point over the course of this weekend. In fact, Jason's girlfriend Megan will be joining us later in a little front-wheel drive rental car. Doing my best to avoid the always encroaching Central Oregon manzanita, which was responsible for probably 90% of the pinstriping on my Forester.
So Dan and I are out here just poking around a little bit, waiting for some of the other guys who are gonna show up later. And I stumbled across a spot that looked familiar, and I realized that this is where I went dispersed camping for the first time ever in my life in the Forester, which has to be 3 years ago. And I didn't even know dispersed camping was a thing. And I found this spot. It was March, there was still some snow out here, but it was a beautiful day. I could see Black Butte and the Three Sisters and Three Finger Jack, all this panorama. Oh, and Mount Jefferson is right over there as well. Just this gorgeous panorama. And so I put the Forester there and built a little fire, and I was pretty weirded out because my whole life I had only camped in campgrounds, and also with other people, with friends or family or whatever, and you know, with other people around, and you know, a camp host. And so it was a very, very weird experience. And if you've never gone out dispersed camping, I mean, I totally understand the sort of trepidation, because it definitely feels weird to be out in the middle of nowhere just by yourself. But it went fine, and ultimately what you discover is that it's a pleasure. When you're out in wilderness like this, there's nobody out here, and if you do encounter somebody out here, it's people just like you and me who just want to be out enjoying the wilderness also, and who don't want to be messed with, and who may feel just as fearful of you as you may feel of them driving up. So if you've thought about dispersed camping and were worried about being out by yourself, once you get used to it, it makes going to a regular campground seem difficult, actually, to have all of those people around. And even like where we're camped today, we're dispersed camping. We're not in a campground. It's just a free spot, but there's a bunch of them, and you know, we can see neighbors through the trees, and to me it feels like way too close. Anyway, this is just sort of a historical spot. Just wanted to stop and take a look at.
Jaren has arrived with his pristine first-gen Tacoma. He built this amazing GFC-style canopy camper himself. I'll put a link in the description below to Jaren's YouTube channel. Eric has also arrived with his first-gen Tundra and this super cool vintage slide-in pop-up camper.
Well, we knew rain was a possibility this weekend, and up till now it had been really beautiful. We thought we might dodge the bullet, but the clouds finally decided to stick and start coming down on us. But at least a couple of the guys have awnings. I don't have anything like that yet. We'll get it figured out. We'll get a fire built tonight, a real fire, and it'll be all right.
And there was down there.
Some of us can handle being out in the outdoors, in the weather, and some people, you know,
Live the van life.
Yeah, right. Some people already, lived in the outdoors in the weather and learned.
I do get kind of trounced.
little rain's not a problem, right, Gary?
No, absolutely not. As long as you got the warmth of the campfire.
final morning of our weekend. Everyone's had their breakfast and we're enjoying a final opportunity to chat before getting our respective camps packed away.
But there are services too, like if you're planning a shoot, you send your files, troubleshooting any issues you may have, and you just get back on this card company that does it every day.
Watch stuff and you just did.
I usually do my prints in the evening when I'm going to be home. You know, just have this thing, and then it's like
I'll print it out like a piece of paper.
you get it into the program, and then
So I stole a piece of that. One of us only have a tag, and then we just go up there and he gets something that I'm there to help him tie it out. And then, yeah, I mean, everything is either this way or just eating grab. And then just like pull it out and grab it and float it across. So you're just picking up the way up. It was cloudy. It can be still very beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily make a great photo. Well, it's this guy, you know, he used to have a Subaru, and then he just, like, totally screwed over all his subscribers. Like, all these people subscribed to his channel because he had a Subaru.
And how did he do that?
And, well, he just got rid of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even think about us. Like, as a subscriber base, like, he didn't even consider our feelings.